So what's up guys, Sam here, and this is episode 1 of the best Nova Launcher setups. So I made the announcement video for this series 2 weeks ago from this video, and not only did I receive tons and tons of positive feedback from you guys saying that you were excited for this sort of a series from me, I also received heaps of submissions. So a massive thank you to you guys, because without you, this series would not exist. Now, given that I'm actually installing each of the setups onto my own phone using the backup files that you guys are sending to me, which therefore means I'm looking fairly in-depthly at each setup, I've decided that at least for now, each episode will feature 3 different setups. If you don't get featured, sit tight because I may still feature you in a future episode. In addition, I've realized that getting the setups looking exactly the same on my phone as they do on your phone is actually really hard to do, given that there's probably a bunch of apps that I don't have installed that you have installed on your phone that you're using in your setup. And also Zupa widgets don't actually transfer across when loading backup files within Nova Launcher. So please make sure you include as much information as you want me to feature in the videos so that I can get the setups bang on. Okay, so without further ado, let's get straight into these setups. So today's 3 submissions come from William, Jerry, and Rohan. 3 wildly different setups, all of which are visually impressive yet super functional, which, as you know, is what I'm all about. So in no particular order, let's start with Jerry's. First thing I want to point out is this incredible wallpaper, which obviously the entire setup has kind of been built around to kind of complement that wallpaper. So you've got a bunch of tech accessories all around that iMac sitting right in the center there. And I just think this wallpaper looks great. I'll obviously have it linked down in the description below, but when I saw this screenshot in my emails, I thought straight away I've got to feature this submission. So I really love that wallpaper. So that's great there. Now above that, we've got a clock and date widget, which comes from O'Shea for Zupa. Now, because of the way that Zupa widgets come when you're loading setups, backup files from within Nova Launcher, I'm not actually 100% sure whether or not he had a shortcut attached to this widget. I haven't got anything set up at the moment, but you could obviously set that up to either go into your alarm clock settings so that you can quickly set an alarm, or I would probably personally set it up so that it opens up the weather timeline app, which obviously is what I use on my regular setup. So now when I tap that, it's going to open up the weather timeline app. So that's completely up to you. Obviously, when you're loading these setups, you'll have to do some of the legwork yourself to get the widgets working. But yeah, it's obviously that's open and it's great sitting up there. I really like that look. So that comes from O'Shea for Zupa. Below that, we've got the Google search widget, which also comes from O'Shea for Zupa. So I've just got that set up to open up the Google search bar. And anyway, that's a really cool looking widget, which obviously ties in with the clock and date, as well as that whole, minimal wallpaper. And I just love the feel that that kind of adds to the setup. Now below that, we've got a row of 5 icons. Now this icon pack is Simpacks, and this is a new one that I hadn't tried out before. It's 99 cents from the Google Play Store, and I love the look of it. I think it's got this really unique look. And then below that is something really cool that I'm actually not 100% sure how he's done this, but this little black and red icon actually act as folders. So obviously got some social applications here, and then in the red one, we've got some Google applications, which is super cool because when I first saw those red and black dots, I actually just thought they were part of the wallpaper, but they actually serve a purpose, which is great. And then in the middle of that, you've obviously got this cool dope icon, which actually serves as a shortcut to the app drawer, which is set up in this app list view. So that's really cool. This whole setup kind of is a bit of a myth to me. I don't actually know how he's done the bottom 3 buttons. Yeah, I don't know how he's got that look because I've dived into the Nova Launcher settings to see what he's done. But the good thing is you don't have to set anything up if you download and load this backup file into your own Nova Launcher setup. It's only the top and the Google widget that you will need to set up through Zupa widget, but luckily they're super easy to do. So Jerry, this is a great setup, mate. I think it's looks very visually appealing. That obviously it caught my eye when I first saw the email, so that's obviously a big winner in my books, but also really functional, particularly with these hidden folders down here. That's a really creative way of doing that. Send me an email, let me know how you did that, mate, because I'd love to put that in some of my setups. So that's Jerry's setup. Really happy with that. So moving on to William's setup, and as you can see here, we've got a 2-page setup. Now, I'll just point out that William didn't send a screenshot of his second page, so I didn't actually know what this widget was. I knew there was something there because it was kind of there to set up, but I've just loaded the month calendar widget because that's what I use in my own Nova Launcher setup. So yeah, I'm not actually 100% sure it was there, but this is definitely a 2-page setup. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the Google Pill and Date widget, which he's got set up up the top here, which is obviously to replicate the Pixel launcher look. And obviously what he's done in Super Widget Pro is he's gone in and he's deleted the rectangle background here. So it kind of is actually more of a floating Google Pill, which I really like the look of. And obviously I went in and did it myself to match his setup. And so that launches the Google search feature. And so I definitely approve of him putting that up there. Coming down below, we've got a set of 9 icons in a 3x3 configuration, and he's using the flat white icon pack for his home screen apps. And then if we go into the app drawer, which is actually triggered, can't actually see a shortcut to it here, but it's triggered by a double tap. He's using the poly icon pack for the app drawer icons. Down the bottom, he's got obviously a shortcut to his dialer, and then messages on the right, which I think looks really cool, really convenient as well. And I just really love this configuration. On one of my older Nova Launcher setups, which is actually a video here on my YouTube channel, I really like this 3x3 configuration. It's something I'm toying going back to, actually. I really think it complements your phone setup well, because it gives you a lot of options in terms of app icons. And then if you wanted to go even further, you could obviously set up swipe actions to launch other apps, which would give you double the amount of app shortcuts. So I really like this configuration. I think it looks really clean. And then aside from all that, this wallpaper I think looks really great. He's obviously sent it to me, which is great. Link is in the description below. I think this is a cool functional setup. Wish I could have known what was on that second page, but yeah, month calendar widget is what I've loaded there. But this is a great setup from William, and I think that you guys will dig it loading it onto your own phones. And last up today, we have Rohan setup. Now, the biggest thing that I want to point out is the wallpaper, and I'll get to that in a second. But first of all, it's obviously a 2-page setup with the unique approach of having the home page on the right side of the layout, and the secondary page is over here, and I'll talk about that in a second. But first of all, that wallpaper. So obviously you got your cityscape up here, which looks really nice, gives you something to look at. But then below that we get, you know, this line that sort of intersects the setup and kind of separates it so that we can have this space for putting our apps and our widgets and so forth, which I really love the idea of having that. So often, you know, backgrounds in setups, if there's a lot going on, you can't really put anything over the top of it without it looking messy. But the way that this wallpaper is set up, you really, you know, you get the best of both worlds. So first of all, that widget, that clock and date widget, is from Parrot for Zupa, which is obviously a Zupa widget. And just to let you know, this particular widget is all the way down the bottom of the Parrot widget. So, you know, just to save a bit of time, because it took me ages to find it when I was first going through it. Now, obviously with the, you know, as I said, loading backup files within Nova Launcher, Zupa widgets don't get transferred across. So I don't know if Rohan had any sort of shortcut launch with this widget. And if I had to put my money on it, I would have thought, you know, alarm or clock sort of app. But you could also load a weather app as a shortcut there. I've got nothing set up with it at the moment, but I really love that widget. I think it looks really cool. So that's from the Parrot for Zupa. The icon pack is like Jerry's, also the Simpax icon pack, which I'm really loving the look of. I'm considering using this in my own setup at some point. And yeah, he's got this row of 5 app shortcuts here and then a dock below. So obviously if we swipe over, we lose that 5, you know, app shortcuts, but the dock stays there. So now, again, with the translation of, you know, using Nova Launcher backup files, some of the apps that Rohan had, I've kind of replaced with my own. So I've got Chrome, Twitter. He had his banking app in the middle there, so I've put my banking app in the middle. And then he had the Google Games and Google Media shortcuts there. And really quickly, I want to show you the to-do list app widget he's got set up here on the left page. And this is called Tick Tick. So I'll put that in the description below, obviously. And this is a really sleek looking to-do list app widget. I really like that it's kind of looks, you know, blends in really well with the wallpaper there. It kind of looks like that line is almost part of the widget app. So that's really cool. And yeah, just a really functional way of having, you know, of utilizing widgets. So often, you know, we see a month calendar widget or, you know, yeah, other things like that, but it's really minimal sort of looking to-do list widget app, which I really like the look of. Now, one thing that I'll point out real quick that I'm not actually the biggest fan with this setup, it's literally like the only thing he's got set up 2 finger swipe down, which opens up the app drawer. Now, I would probably just set that up to be a single swipe up. 2 fingers is a little bit hard to remember. Sometimes it's actually not very one-handed friendly as well. But look, that's just me. Who knows? You guys might prefer having that sort of a gesture set up. But I just thought I'd point that out. It took me a while to figure out which, how to open up the app drawer. But aside from that, that's kind of it for this setup. I think it looks really cool. Everything complements everything else. So that's a really great setup in my opinion. So there you have it, guys. 3 really impressive setups, all of which I've actually considered keeping installed on my own phone. But I definitely recommend everyone checking out the description below, where I've placed each of the backup files, as well as any necessary information for you to download and check out yourself. Also in the description is a link to the original video, which has all of the instructions and rules for having your submission featured. So if you want your setup to be shown in one of these episodes, then go and check that video out. And guys, I just want to remind you, in order to be eligible to have your setup featured, you need to send me your Nova Launcher backup file. I've actually received multiple awesome submissions which I've actually intended to use, but then have realized that they haven't sent me their backup file. So if you've sent me a submission, go and double check right now your sent items, make sure that you've attached your backup file, and if you haven't, just attach it and resend your submission. Otherwise, I can't include your setup in this series. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you're feeling inspired to go and do some crazy things with your own Nova Launcher setups, and please definitely keep your submissions coming in. But aside from that, thanks heaps for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.